Vanity Fair has an updated casting news for the DC Superman Legacy movie. We're going to get into some of the new names and the casting right now on the Sundowners Club. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Sean, my co-host, Sterling. So, Sterling, Superman Legacy. Recently, we got news that David Corenswet will be playing Superman in James Gunn's new reboot of the DC universe around Superman himself. And Rachel Brosnahan from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel has been cast as Lois Lane. You know, we're still waiting on the announcement of who's going to be playing Lex. We don't know that yet. So we're waiting on that. But we have some new names that kind of give us a little bit of a clue as to, you know, some of the other characters and maybe where the story's going to be going. And we're going to get into that right now. So the first name that we want to mention is Isabela Merced, who will be playing Hawkgirl. And so we don't know the role that Hawkgirl will play in this particular story. I would imagine part of an ensemble, not a huge part, but she will get some screen time. Isabela Merced, she played, I believe she played Dora the Explorer, so she's gotten a little older. She's like 21, 22.
Yeah, I don't know who she is.
She could play the role. I've seen Hawkgirl in like some of the comics where she's a little older and kind of like, bigger, more muscular. I mean, the comics do that, but I don't have any doubt as to whether she could play this role. I think she got good reviews on the Dora role and her acting in it. And so, but I think this is a supporting character, part of an ensemble. And then the next casting choice is listed or announced by Vanity Fair is Edi Gathegi, is going to be playing Mr. Terrific. Now, I first saw Edi Gathegi. I first saw Edi in the Apple series For All Mankind.
So he played Darwin in X-Men.
He played Darwin in X-Men.
Yeah,
he was also a vampire in the Twilight movies, but I really got to see his acting chops in For All Mankind. For those of you that haven't checked that out on Apple TV Plus, it's really, really good series. It's kind of an alternate history if what would have happened if the Russians had landed on the moon first, and the story starts from there. So really good series, and Eddie's really good in it, and so I have no doubt he's going to be really good in Superman Legacy. I think this is great casting. And Mr. Terrific, are you knowledgeable about Mr. Terrific?
I'm not.
So just kind of researching a little bit about Mr. Terrific. You know, he's got, we'll put some shots up of some of the comic characterizations of what Mr. Terrific looks like. But, you know, he's kind of like a genius inventor type that's kind of got all the knowledge of the greatest inventors in the world and scientists like Albert Einstein and different figures. He's got all that, rolled into one. So he's kind of a Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne type, but smarter. Kind of he has that knowledge and intellect that makes him formidable. But I think that's really great casting, playing Mr. Terrific. And before we get into the final piece of casting that I think is the most exciting. What are your thoughts on Mr. Terrific? Just seeing what you think James Gunn is doing with this first movie kind of gives you a sense of maybe where he's going with an ensemble of characters that kind of feels a little bit like Guardians of the Galaxy, but
yeah, I mean, well, you got a Hawkgirl, and it looks like you're gonna have a Green Lantern. I mean, it's looks like it's maybe a Justice League setup or something.
Some variation of
I mean, Infinite
Crisis or some version of some story that took place in the comics that he's going to be based on. We don't know exactly where he's going to go, but it's starting to drop little breadcrumbs around a truly ensemble cast as opposed to just a movie that's going to be heavily focused on Clark and Lois. So I think
it still could be though. I mean, you don't know. They could be in the movie for 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that.
Doesn't mean their parts are going to be big.
It doesn't mean they're centerpiece, the central piece of it.
This last piece, I would imagine, is going to have a pretty good part in the movie. And I'm really, really excited about this. And it is Nathan Fillion. So Nathan Fillion from Firefly fame, from the TV show series Castle, from The Rookie. He's also been in Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn. And really probably you can make a case maybe James Gunn's best movie, Slither. So he's got a long relationship. James Gunn likes to cast people that he's worked with before in roles in his films and that he trusts and he knows can do the job. And Nathan Fillion checks that box. He's going to not only be playing Green Lantern, but he's going to be playing a Green Lantern. So not necessarily the Green Lantern, but he's going to be playing Guy Gardner. So without giving too much away about Guy Gardner, he is a little bit of a rebellious Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Kind of obnoxious, kind of a little bit of a Tony Stark, smartass type
Definitely
character.
not who you think of as Green Lantern. I mean,
or heroic and moral and the one always doing the right thing. So I think Nathan Fillion is perfect casting.
Yeah, I think he'd be great for it.
This has got me really excited about, where I think he's going with the cast. And then we have, last but not least, is Anthony Carrigan. So those of you that have watched the series Barry on HBO, Anthony Carrigan played NoHo Hank, and kind of a weird, quirky, dark character, and he's going to be playing Metamorpho. So
he's got the look based off.
Oh yeah,
the comparison.
No doubt. If you put up a shot of Metamorpho and we put up a shot of Anthony, this casting has really got me excited. I have faith in James Gunn, but this has really got me excited. I think the casting so far has been great.
Yeah, he's staying authentic, and you can tell he's really passionate about the source material. So it gives me hope. After seeing a lot of bad DC stuff over the years, maybe he will turn it around.
Yeah, where it's formulaic, right? Where you've got the hero, the love interest, and then you've got a main villain, and if they introduce any other villains, they don't really have anything to do with the story. But you've got a main villain, and then it's real formulaic, and there's something to be said for that. The some of the movies from long ago kind of stayed formulaic, and you would say that it's consistent. You know what you're going to get. But I think James Gunn has proven that he can take a multitude of characters, not like an Avengers, but he can take a group of characters, put them together, and they each get enough screen time to where you have your favorites, and they make sense for the story. And so I think he's not going to add 20 characters to this movie, this first Superman Legacy movie, and them not make sense. He's going to have a cast of characters that some, like you said, may have very minor roles, but people are going to come out of it going, you know what, I really like that character that had a small amount of screen time leading into a second or third movie. But any thoughts on, I'm not as up to, on all the variations of the comics, with Superman. I know some of them like Red Sun and Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths, the different variations of the story. Do you have an idea or thought about where you think he's going to be taking this first movie?
Well, it's hard to tell because they're going to have to do their own universe thing. It's going to be its own separate universe. It's definitely not going to have anything to do with Red Sun. Red Sun is when Superman's basically born in Russia, and he's like,
that's right, yeah.
So it won't have anything to do with.
There's
that.
nothing that's led us to believe he's doing that story.
No,
at least not right now.
I don't know. I don't know how they'll do it. He's the actor's. How old's the actor? He's younger. The Superman actor.
Yeah, I think he's in his late 20s.
So he's a younger Superman. I really don't know. I have no idea. Those aren't really characters that you would associate with Superman, especially early on. So
yeah,
it's hard to tell. But I don't know. At least he's got the casting right, though. So
well, and it'll be interesting when we get more information, around. James Gunn is definitely got a group of people that he likes to work with over and over. Yeah. As far as he puts his team together.
Is he gonna put his brother in this somehow?
Oh, he'll be in it. Yeah, he'll be in it somehow. Yeah. But what'll happen is like the cinematography, and the people behind the scenes that film, he puts that team together and they are all rowing in the same direction.
Right.
So one thing you don't see in James Gunn films, and I don't think this will be any different with Warner's and DC, is because he's in charge of this world, him and Peter Safran, is he's got his team, and they're going to have a vision for this is what James Gunn wants to portray in the storytelling around Superman Legacy. So the visual aesthetics of the film are going to be in line with what James Gunn wants. So you won't see any disconnect between character, script, the dialogue, the setting. And I feel like some of the past DC properties have been all over the map with, it's like one thing is completely different from another. And you go, okay, well, different is okay if it's written well, but the cinematography, the visuals can be distracting.
I mean, I wasn't even crazy about the casting.
Yeah, the casting wasn't good.
I liked Henry Cavill as Superman, but any of those other people were replaceable as far as I was concerned.
I think one of the things that hurt Henry Cavill was just
he was just part of a bad,
the right casting
universe
and the wrong stories.
Yeah,
and he suffered from that. So
I actually didn't mind his Superman movie. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, a lot of people loved Henry Cavill as Superman and still support him. He's in the roles he's going to be doing. But this one, I think he's hit it out of the park so far with the casting. I'm really excited. Nathan Fillion, when I saw his name, I don't know about you all, but when Vanity Fair, whoever broke the story, we certainly picked it up on Vanity Fair. So we'll give credit to Vanity Fair. Nathan Fillion really excites me. A variation of a Green Lantern, the Guy Gardner type. So he could take that in a lot of different directions. There's a lot you can play with when you've got a character who can be a little bit morally gray in how they act, the obnoxious side. You saw a lot of that with Tony Stark, and it makes for the character to have some depth and some. Yeah. You can take him in a lot of different areas.
I don't think you can get too excited about his role though, because going forward, I believe that they're obviously going to focus probably on Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he'll be entertaining. I just don't think it will be a major role.
But then that's going to be a question. That's going to be something we're going to look for: is how extensive is Nathan Fillion's role as Guy Gardner going to be, not only in Superman Legacy, but in anything that follows.
Right.
That we don't know the answer to that yet. So that will be very interesting to watch out for, as well as when the casting comes out on Lex. We've talked about Alexander and Bill Skarsgård. We've talked about Nicholas Hoult. I tend to think Alexander Skarsgård, it's his role to turn down, but there could be some wild card, somebody that
I think you could use him for something else, though.
Yeah, I mean they could come out with someone that we haven't heard of that James Gunn has had in mind for Lex, and then we don't know Lex's role in this first movie. It could be very minor, leading into future movies, and so we haven't really had any leaks yet as far as the story itself, which I think is good. But the casting news is certainly exciting. What do you guys think? What do you think about Edi Gathegi playing Mr. Terrific? What do you think about Isabela Merced playing Hawkgirl? Nathan Fillion playing a variation of the Green Lantern and Guy Gardner, and then Anthony Carrigan playing Metamorpho. Let us know what you think. If you like the casting news, do you not like it? Leave us a comment. Let us know. The most important thing you can do to help support our channel, if you like the content, is to hit that subscribe button. So hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, smash the like button, and TCB.